We are just like broken, beautiful pieces of a puzzle, all still kind of working through life.
I don't think we want to lose our ability to feel and care deeply, but we do need to learn what is mine to carry and what's not.
Yeah. You cannot hold judgment and wonder in the same breath or in the same thought.
Very powerful. Like you just sponge all of the emotion in the room. You're taking in all of their feels.
Hi, and welcome to the Living Richly podcast. We are so glad that you've joined us again today, and I'm really excited about this episode because I feel like I'm feeling like this is going to be a therapy session for me, and yeah,
Wow.
And here's why. Recently, I went through a season where I felt myself starting to kind of slip on where I was with Living Richly. Everything was going good in life. Amazing, of course, my experience with Wendy and with business. I had a great, successful year. And yet there was just a sense of discontentment. There was a sense of, I was just feeling a little bit off. I won't go so far as to say empty or sad, but just off. I found myself getting a little bit angry and stuff. And so I wanted to do an episode.
Edgy Rob.
Edgy
Rob.
Which is different than Old Man Rob.
I don't know. Old Man Rob and Edgy Rob, I think it's like, get off my lawn.
Well, there's a closeness
It's
there.
just the opposite of Fuzzy Bear Rob.
It is very much different than Fuzzy Bear Rob.
Yeah.
All these hashtags, by the way, are currently trending on TikTok. Yeah.
But I wanted to just have a conversation and explore the notion of we have so many people who are choosing to live richly, to live their best life. But we all know that that's not a 24/7. It's just not all roses and wonderful and all of this. There are those moments of drift. There are those moments where we struggle or where we just kind of, and I'd love to have a conversation around. I want to learn from you three, what are some of the tools that you use when you start to drift to come back on track? And, you know, if opportunity allows, I'll share some of my experiences as well in this. But maybe
you have to. It's a therapy session.
Again,
you already said that it's going to be a therapy session for you.
And
So
it's all about you. So that's
maybe it's a therapy session for the three of you.
is this an intervention?
This
is this what this
is
is?
an intervention. When you hear that phrase, the things are just slipping sideways. What comes to mind? What is that? How does that show up for you? How does that relate? How do you relate to that, or do you relate to that? Any one of you?
We're all staring at each
Yeah.
other.
All looking at each other.
Yeah.
Well, my immediate response is I've never actually heard that phrase, life slipping sideways. I can't even say it. Like, I think it's like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
But I get the notion. It's drift, right? When you start moving away from your core self, and perhaps you're not investing in your growth like you normally did. Maybe you're neglecting your health. I went through a season of that last year, where I was telling myself all the stories about the business. It's a unique season in the business, and we're implementing all these changes, and the business needs me right now. And I found myself falling into some old patterns of working too hard, not taking care of myself. What I celebrate is, people say, well, Eric, you talk about burnout. You've been through it a few times. I said, yeah, I'm finally learning, because I didn't burn out.
No.
But I could hear the footsteps in the gravel behind me. And then I took steps to rehab. Drift, I think, is universal. We just did a show with a bunch of the guys from the Foundry, right? And we were talking about breakthrough moments of great advancement, but then there's the daily walking of that out. The daily grind of it sometimes.
Yeah, and we all drift. Like, it's not, I think when we talk about living richly, the drift is in there. Like, you can't be like every
drifting
morning.
richly.
Like, I don't get up every morning. I'm not always like, I get to get up this morning. I don't.
Yes, you do. I see you. I want
but
you.
I lean into gratitude when I drift. I think.
No, she does it. For the record, she does it.
I actually don't.
For the record, she doesn't.
The moments that I love are the moments where she is practicing gratitude and the get to mindset, but she really doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And she'll say, I get to.
I get to fucking do this.
It's kind of like that.
Like,
it's
I'm
awesome.
fine. But what I notice for me is I'm far more in tune with my body physically now when I drift. So when I drift, for me, I'm out of alignment, and I can feel it. I'm tense. My shoulders are up. I might get more headaches. I get a lot of migraines. My stomach will go. It's literally like I can feel it physically when I start to drift. And so when it starts to compound over time, that's when I know my body is signaling now, as much as my brain is, that like, hey, you need to do something because you're drifting.
For me, it's like functioning on autopilot. Everything, everyone is getting done except me.
Right.
And that's like, and all of us kind of alluded to that. You said, you feel off. You can't really identify what it is, but you just feel off. So I know for me, I get very like autopilot like, and that for me is a sign of, okay, I'm starting to drift.
I love that you use the language autopilot, because the autopilot is the very thing we need to disrupt if we are going to live a rich life, because autopilot is often living on old program, right? Old scripts that we've been using for our whole lives that are probably not that helpful, or living according to other people's expectations and people pleasing and overperforming and all these things. And it was Jim Harrington my mentor, who first introduced the language of maturity. Becoming that best version of yourself, the highest evolved version of yourself, involves breaking autopilots and choosing more consciously. We've said it on the show before, like the research shows now that the average human being only chooses their behavior 5% of the time consciously. 95% of what we do on average is programmed. Think about that for a second. 95%. And I know we're going to be moving into things like intentions and whatever else, but what we're really talking about is living intentionally and recognizing when that's shifted.
Yeah.
Right. And we're back to living the old way.
Exactly. And the reason why I think it's so critical, and you nailed it when you were answering that question, was about burnout, is if you don't address it when you first start to see it. Here's what sometimes, it's no different if you're in a fitness regime or something like that, right? You go off the wagon for a week and, I might as well just give up.
Totally.
And if somebody's not careful, they're starting to do the inner work. It's difficult. It's challenging. They've seen some wins. They've got some kind of trophies now, some successes under their belt.
Yeah.
And then they start to drift. It can, if you stay on autopilot, it can cause you to just go, well, why bother? See, I guess it doesn't work for me. Or you go to where you would in the past, which was burnout. And whereas this time you recognized it, and then you made the choice to do that. And for me, one of the great tools, and we're going to make sure we include it in the notes, the show notes, was the custom GPT that you created around
the year you want.
And I did that exercise because of where I was in my head. I thought, I'm going to take the time I did the advanced one, so it was a bit longer than an hour. And out of that, I was able to, one of the things that I started doing as a result of that was I started to really engage focused journaling again, which has been, I'm just going on about almost 3 weeks of just every single day.
That's
powerful what it's been setting up for me. And then I created some intentions out of the work that I did through that custom GPT. And it was those intentions, and now intentionally leaning into certain things that have allowed me to pull that drift back and get back on target.
I love that. And can I just say this about journaling, because I know a lot of our listeners are probably, they've heard us talk about it before. And for some, it still has like a negative connotation, like it feels like keeping a diary. It's not what that's about. Journaling is a place to think.
Yeah.
It's a place to reflect. And there is power in sitting down. You're not going to necessarily sit down and write down everything that happened to you the day before. What's top of mind? What are you carrying in your spirit? What are you carrying around with you that you want to let go of or you want to process? Oftentimes, the reason we drift is because the buildup from, we've maybe been neglecting ourselves. We've been really busy. There's lots going on. And we're not taking the time to stop and think, right? So this stuff is just building and building and building inside of us. And all of a sudden, we are Grumpy Rob or we're Grouchy Eric, right? Or whatever the case may be. And we're going, what the hell's going on? Well, lots has been going on. We just haven't been tending to our inner life. And we're picking up all this garbage. So reflection, whether it's journaling or even having a meaningful conversation with a trusted friend who's going to hold space for you and not try to solve anything, but just create a space for you to talk. Reflection helps to clear the clutter and helps you to start thinking clearly and remind yourself of how do I want to show up, and what adjustments do I need to make to get back to that place.
No, I love that. So my goal today is I would love to hear from each of you. We are gonna zero in on intentions as one of the tools. Journaling is absolutely.
We're gonna start with you,
but we're gonna. No, we're not.
Yes, we are. Because you started the show. I'm gonna hijack. And I'm looking to my other co-host. He did lead with this is gonna be like a therapy session for me. Did he not?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Thank you.
No, she's just telling the truth. She's just telling the truth.
Yeah. But I do want us to talk about intention.
Yeah. I'd love for you to go first.
Okay. All right. Go first?
Go first.
Wow. So one of the intentions that I'm leaning into very intentionally in my life right now, very purposely
it's
in my life.
It's an intentional intention.
It's an intentional intention is to wonder freely. And it stemmed
not wander freely, wonder.
As deep curiosity, to wonder and not judge. And it came out. It didn't start here. I'd already defined what this intention means for me before I came across the book Inner Excellence. And
great book.
Great book. Jim. Anyway, we'll put it in the show notes. But he has a quote in there where he says, "You cannot hold judgment and wonder in the same breath or in the same thought."
Very powerful.
And I remember writing that in my journal and just really taking some time to think about that. And so where it's shown up for me right now is even with clients or in every conversation, even in the episodes we've been recording today, I've been less focused on even notes and everything else and focused on curiosity. What's showing up right now? What am I hearing? What is this saying to me? My coaching this week has been, I think, certainly for me and for the response that I've had from some of my clients, some of the most powerful a week of coaching, because in each of those, I pause where I wouldn't normally and just say, hey, help me understand that more, and went a bit deeper because of that sense of the curiosity. So it's a big one for me. That's one of the intentions that's helping me get back on track, is focusing in on that. It's showing up really powerful right now.
Well, curiosity is one of my 4 core values. And I believe it's one of yours as well as a core value. So I'm not surprised to hear an intention being sent around a return to curiosity, or maybe leaning into it in a fresh new way. Curious.
I see what you did there.
I did it accidentally, actually. Curious, Rob. I wonder, how does that connect to drift? Why, because the whole purpose of this conversation or the inspiration, as you said, was I went through a season of drift. I did this work. I feel like I'm getting back to more who I am.
Yeah.
How does that intention around wonder freely help address some of the drift?
Because that's a great question. Good job. Good question.
Well, I'm curious.
Yeah, it is. It is. For me, some of the drift that was happening was around judgment. I was making judgments around other people's behavior. I was making judgments around how if somebody said something, I would make judgments around that. I shared the story with you. I know, of course, you experienced it with me. I went to a church service on Christmas Eve for the first time. I walked into a church that was very much a part of my life for a lot of years, a part of your life for a lot of years. And I remember going in there, really fighting the urge to just judge everything that was going on. And
I'll be perfectly honest. I saw the post about you being there, and my initial reaction was, "What the fuck are you like?" Because the last place I would expect you to go, right? And it wasn't judgment so much as surprise.
It was surprise.
It was a surprise,
and it was a beautiful, wonderful experience. And I realized that it was because I went into it with curiosity. Is it an experience that I'm interested in having a part of my life moving forward? No. Would I be open to going again?
You're not joining the choir.
I'm not joining the choir. Wouldn't be invited to, but I will be joining the choir. And so I think for me, what I was seeing, and it was, I reread Kelly Flanagan's book, Lovable.
Great book.
And the notion in there around shame, and then how he uses the word grace. And it's interesting because the one tattoo that I have that I'm less, like if people ask me about my tattoos, I share lots about all the other tattoos. It's the one here, which is my very first tattoo I got, which is the word grace. And at the time, what it symbolized to me is not what it symbolizes to me anymore. And it was while I was reading Lovable, again, with some deep curiosity, all of a sudden it hit me, this is my new trigger. That when judgment happens, whether and what a judgment happens, to look down and remind myself that grace is curiosity. That when I show up with curiosity with people, I'm demonstrating grace. I'm wanting to know them. And I'm answering this in a long way, and I recognize that. And with that was
no judgment
with the drifting and the judgment. I realized that the place that most judgment happens is in here.
Towards self.
And so becoming more curious about why I react to myself in that moment with shame, and then how do I turn that to curiosity and grace?
Love that. I mean,
It's beautiful.
Like, there's far too much judgment in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes still surprised myself with how judgy I can be. Not knowing a person's context.
Yeah.
Not knowing what's going on, not having all the facts, but just at face value, observing and passing judgment.
Yeah.
Well, our brains do it automatically.
Yeah.
Like you talk about how much we choose our thoughts. Like there's so much happens in a split second when someone walks in a room, you've already formed.
Yeah.
Right. And you might have already judged that person based off their appearance. And it's just your brain processing, here's what I see, and here's what I've already judged it as. Right.
Yeah.
And that happens automatically. So being proactive about that and choosing that that's a conscious effort to break out of that, what is it? The 95% that's on autopilot?
95%.
Yeah.
And so I use the wonder because it's that childlike wonder. And I remember I was sitting at my desk the other day, a break between clients. It had just started to snow a little bit. And I remember just pausing and I just looked outside and I just took in and legitimately just felt awe. And I just looked outside at the snow falling, and I love our backyard and the view that we have. And I just sat there for like literally just 30 seconds to a minute, but that centered me again, where I turned then to my next meeting that was coming up, and I was just ready, refocused again. So that intention, and it's just a reminder, it's one that I probably journal about more than any of them right now, is just this notion of, okay, how am I going to show up with wonderment, with curiosity, and without judgment in every conversation and with every interaction?
I'm going to try not to judge you for you creating the word wonderment
Wonderment.
just there in the moment. But
Wonderment.
Wonderment.
That's a new word.
Not a
You
word.
just coined a new word for
Not
the
a
show.
word.
Wonderment.
Because we're
Is that
in
a word?
wonder about wonderment. It's no.
Don't look over on stage.
I know. He's like, wait, it's not a word.
I still
No.
don't believe you.
Don't think it. I might be wrong.
I've
Doesn't
never
matter.
heard.
I've never heard the word wonderment, but I think it should be a word.
I don't think.
It's a word. Is it a word? Is it really a word? Wonderment.
What does it mean? To wonder?
To be
Full of wonder?
A sense of wonderment. There you go. Bam. I just learned something new. I'm glad I stayed open. See, that's why I didn't judge you.
Oh, wow.
I was like trying not to judge you because I don't think that's a fucking word, but apparently it is. Apparently it is.
you.
I loved your awe, the sense of awe over the snow. Anne Lamott wrote this great book on prayer that I read probably a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And she says all forms of prayer really fall into three categories. Help, wow, thanks.
Yeah.
Right? Help. Fucking, I need some help, right? Wow, sense of awe, and thanks, gratitude,
Yeah.
right? And you were sensing, and I think the thing about wonder, the thing about wonderment, it sounds like something you put in your mouth to get rid of bad breath. Wonderment.
That's winter freshman.
A winter fresh mint. Wonderment. I'm not going to be able to get over that now. But judgment is it's a closed mindset. You make up your mind, snap judgment. You're not open to any other information. I had a great conversation with a client this week, and she struggles with wrapping things up too quickly. So when something happens, she immediately makes a judgment call on it and moves on. And what's happening is the feedback she gets from her team is that you're not really open. We don't feel like we can discuss anything with you. And I helped her understand. I said, as soon as you form an opinion, if you form the opinion prematurely, it's okay to have an opinion. But if you form it in a form of a judgment where this is what this is, Being convinced is the exact opposite of being curious.
Yes.
Convinced is closed. I'm not open to something, right? Curiosity, I may have an opinion, but you may be able to change it based on the information you provide or the perspective you provide. And I go, all of a sudden now I'm seeing that differently.
Yeah, like a dictionary.
Like a dictionary. I apparently need to spend more time. That was a very big word for me, okay?
Oh, that was good.
Never heard it either.
Never heard it. Okay, so this side of the table, we still question. I'm going to have to look it up. I don't trust Steve.
Clearly. Yeah. And when you think you're right, you always trust the
producer? I don't
No,
trust the
not the producer. You trust the evidence, right?
Hey,
the evidence
Steve,
is
are you still here, brother?
There we go. Yeah. So that is one of the things that intention helps me adjust course. And so now, so I'm gonna take back control of the episode that I'm hosting.
Feel free.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Host.
Yes, I'd love to hear from each of you as to what is one of the intentions that you hold to that help you get back on course when you start to drift. And maybe Kate, I'll start with you. What's one for you?
I'm going second. Actually, I'm not starting.
I'll start with you because I didn't start with myself.
Wow, we're so judgy today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna channel your wonder.
Thank you. My wonderment.
Wonderment.
Is there not?
There is a wonderment.
Wasn't that chocolate bar? Wonderbar.
But there's wonderments, aren't there? The little
They
candies.
are. There is a
Our
wonderment.
producer's about to pull us all. Yeah.
Sorry,
like
I
I'm so
apologize
stuck
to all
on
of you
it.
listening. We will.
He's
get
going to
back
try
on
to
track.
fix this in post, but I think it's useless.
We'll put a link in the show notes to Wonder.
You can order your Wonder Mix on Amazon. If intentions don't work, you can just order it off Amazon. Okay.
All right. Kate.
We're gonna bring this back.
Yeah, bring this back.
I'm gonna
Kate.
try.
Help us.
Okay, so mine is I can't remember.
You don't remember what your intention
I
is?
got it.
You got it. It's there.
I'm gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
It's to care without carrying, and not care without caring. Because Eric heard it when I told him he's like, care without caring. I'm like,
care without caring.
I'm like, care without carrying, like your grocery list.
Yeah.
Like, for those of you listening, I'm holding my groceries.
You really need to learn how to hold.
Right,
your
that's
groceries.
really
That is not the right way to
get so sore. Is this how a T-Rex holds their groceries?
No,
with
no,
their
it'd be
short
like-
arms. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
wow.
Care without carrying.
Yeah, care without carrying.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's been this has been ongoing for the past year for me, but definitely I'm carrying this one into this year. And what I mean by that is I want to continue to care deeply about the people in my life, my career, my job, the things that matter to me, but without carrying two things. One is a total sense of urgency that I feel often when it comes to the care part. And then just not caring what's not mine.
Right.
And so I traditionally will internalize a lot of those in my life who I care about, their pain, what they're going through. I carry that. And what I'm learning to do is care without internalizing all of whatever they're going through.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that. How does drift push against that? So when drift starts to show up, how does it push against that?
I think, and I wrote down some stuff. I think for me, it's like feels a need to like overperform. So
Right, yeah.
like if I'm going to use my kids as an example, like they come to me and then are upset. I feel this need to and I'm a mom, so I feel the need to go in and yes, my role as a parent and mom is to guide, but I want to fix.
Yeah.
And I'll go above and beyond what I should. Oh God, Sherry's going to call me out on that. But I go above and beyond because there's something tied there for me where it's like my need to overperform is tied to my worthiness, which means, if I'm valuable in this moment and if I know I can take it away, their pain or their angst, then for me, I'm doing good. Like I'm
Right.
showing up as a mom. So for me, when I see myself starting to overperform, it's a step back. It's like I can see myself. I'm watching it. I'm like, I don't need she doesn't need me to fix this, or he doesn't need me to fix this, or this client doesn't need me to get back to them right away. I can actually slow that down. But for me, it obviously fills some sort of void or some sort of, pattern that I've had in my life.
Yeah. And I think so many people can relate to that. For me, I use the language, how to give my best without giving myself away, because that's been really my pattern for most of my adult life, is a giver at heart, a helper at heart. I've always had a desire to help people. But I think when you talk about care, I think that's a perfect language. Care without caring. Caring is about support. It's about compassion. It's about empathy. It's about, what do you need? How can I help? Carrying is taking on stuff you're not meant to carry, that is actually the other person's responsibility to carry. And it was Jim, again, another Jim-ism. He taught me this early on, and I've leaned into it, and still working it out in my life. But this notion of being responsible to people, but not for them. Matter of fact, he would say the only person you're ultimately responsible for, the only people you're responsible for on this planet, are children under the age of 16, 16, 17 years old, depending on their maturity level, because they are very dependent on you until that time. After that, you're responsible to care. Like, we have a responsibility to them or to other people in our lives in terms of supporting, honor, respect, all the things we would, the golden rule, all that stuff. But it's not mine to carry the responsibility for your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your decisions. That's only I can only control that for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 1000%. And for me, there's a level of urgency that happens. So I'll use work as an example, because I think a lot of people can relate. But if I get an email and there's something wrong and I have a client who's upset, I go into it's the overperformer comes in. I've got to solve it. I've got to make sure I absorb all of their angst and stress.
Yeah.
And so what I really am just going to be very focused on this year is it doesn't require this level of urgency. It doesn't require me to get so physically stressed out, because I would say in the last few seasons, that's really you talk about your nervous system. That's an area for me I'm working really hard on, is that nervous system regulation, and that need to sort of carry, whether it's the urgency or carry their emotion or carry their stress and make sure they're okay. The peacekeeper shows up. I'm going to make sure everyone else is okay, regardless of how I'm doing. And what I don't want to do anymore is that I get to protect my space as well. And it doesn't mean I don't care as intensely.
Yeah.
I just don't have to do it with this high level of stress.
Let me ask you, let's maybe, because you used a great example there, but let's maybe go a bit deeper into how does, when you are fully in that intention, how does that intention show up in an example, whether it's that example of work, a client, panicking, or your kids coming to you and you want to, when there's those situations where in that moment you go, okay, Kate, care without carrying, what happens? What's the difference? How does that intention actually play out in that moment?
So for me, if I play out the intention, it's a physical thing. We just talked about. My body calms down, my brain calms down. A great example as a parent, I think we talked about on the show, but I think moms experience this more than dads do. But and you've experienced this. And my oldest, when Zach's out and he's got the car, he's in first year university. He's living life. He's having a great time, but he's out, and he said he'd be home at midnight, and he's got the car and he's not. So my brain will go into overdrive that he's died 8 times by the time it's 12:05, and I've already pictured 8 ways in which he's already died. Right. So I'm getting very present to, and we've had many conversations where I need to let go of the I don't need to carry that. I don't need to carry the anticipation of what I think might happen.
Worst case scenario.
I'm wasting energy on something that hasn't happened. So instead of carrying the angst that I have, I'm preparing for something that hasn't happened. So for me, I feel it, and I'm stressed, and I am obviously not going to sleep till he gets home. I'll set 5 alarms. So I'm moving away from, that's a very practical example.
It's a great example.
But moving away from doing that and trusting that he's going to come home and he'll be fine. And that's what I want to trust in. And so to calm my nervous system, but it is a very like, and there's words there too, which is he's safe.
Yeah.
Like I'll flip the script into like, he's safe. He'll be home. He's having a great time. He's living university. You did it, just to talk myself down. Yeah.
How, does this talk to me? Like, how does this show up for you, or does it show up? Is this an intention? Like, I think you just said a minute ago, these are universal, these intentions, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we can all relate and we all live those out in different ways.
Sure.
You've talked about it from a mom.
Yeah.
What would you say? How does what Kate shared, how does that fit into your own experience?
Well, very similar. So, I mean, especially as a mom with, and I'm sure dads go through it as well, but we are master storytellers of all of the things that, could go wrong or are wrong or should be or shouldn't be. And it really is, I think, trained behavior on how you control your mind in terms of what you tell yourself and what you choose to carry. But I know for me, like, it's taken years and years to learn. And even now I still really struggle with it, where I really have to bring myself back to, okay, so, focusing on what I can control, not what I can't control, focusing on carrying, whether it's somebody's emotions, somebody's behavior, somebody's actions, and not letting that kind of spill over into me, because our bodies are so, it's amazing how the body responds. When you become so in tune with your body and how your body responds to stuff, not just stress and all of that stuff, but when you're choosing to carry things that aren't yours. I carry it all the time. Like, I have an amazing business partner that I work with. We both have very different styles, but I choose to carry a lot of the things that I can't control. And that's something I'm learning to not always do, but it's just practice.
It's practice.
It's
and
reps.
I get really, it's reps. And I get really frustrated because one of my favorite quotes is, frustration is misplaced expectations. So when my expectations are around something, the way it should have gone, or the way it should, what the person should have said or done, always, if I look back and think of why I'm frustrated, it's because my expectations were of a certain way.
So Sherry has the best analogy for this one, which is, and it stuck with me because she's so good at those. And she has props, so she holds stuff up on your sessions. She's like, you're the sponge, and she's got the sponge. I don't know if she's done this with you. And then she has like a piece of plexiglass over here, and she's like, so when you're in that situation, she's like, you just sponge all of the emotion in the room. You're taking in all of their feels. Yeah. She's like, I want you to get to the plexiglass where it bounces off. It doesn't mean you can't see them and you don't care about them, but you're not taking it all in. And every time now I can see the sponge. The plexiglass. It's so very powerful.
She used an Captain America shield rather than plexiglass for me. She literally had one in her office. She knows me really well. But I think there is this notion of we take on what we're not meant to carry. And we just had recorded earlier an episode that will already have dropped because it's with the guys from the Foundry. And on the way out the door, one of them said to me, I'm really envious of what you do for a living in terms of a coach, helping people and all that stuff. He goes, it must be amazing. I said, it is. I said, but there is a dark side. And he looked at me. I said, compassion fatigue, taking on people's problems, feeling like it's my job to solve it for them. And I think that's what I love about the language about care without carrying, because what I hear a lot of folks say, especially folks that are at our stage of life, which is very, very young and vibrant, but at this stage of life often say, I'm just at an age now where I just don't give a damn. And almost like that's a proud thing to say, like, I just don't let shit get to me anymore. And I don't give I don't have any fucks left to give is an understatement. Right? And I get the thinking behind that, but often there's a cynicism behind that. There's a coldness. There's I'm done. So it's not even about not carrying. They're just not caring. Yeah. So there is a hardness there. There's an armoring up. There's a toughening of the skin. It's like your heart's getting calloused because of carrying too many things for too long. I don't think we want to lose our ability to feel and care deeply, but we do need to learn what is mine to carry and what's not. And how can I show up for this person? How can I show up in my kids? How can I show up in my friendships and my primary relationship and let those people feel and know that I care deeply about what's going on, but it's not mine necessarily to carry.
And it's really hard for, if you're like an empath and you're very empathetic as I am, it's very difficult because there's so much guilt that if I don't show up this way, it means I don't care. And they're going to think I don't care. And so that's been the battle for me, is to understand that I can care deeply, but not have it infiltrate my physical being. The level of care, the heart is all still there. I just have a bit of plexiglass in front of me now.
Which is so good.
Let's be real. You didn't start your business to feel this stressed, this stuck, and this alone. At Rhapsody, we help business owners just like you get their shit together. That means building high-performance teams, fixing time and money leaks, and finally stepping into the kind of leadership that doesn't leave you burnt out. You don't need another guru. What you need is a coach who gets it and gets results. Go to rhapsodystrategies.com and let's get started.
One of my clients this week, I had very much a conversation where they were carrying a burden for their business, for the employees, and they went on for about 5 minutes just talking about what was going on, everything like that. And then I paused and I said, like, that sounds like so heavy. How does that feel? And they like literally teared up and said, it's exhausting. And I was like, what if we let that go? And you could tell they were like, am I allowed to do that? Right. Like, wait a minute, I'm the owner. Am I allowed to let that go? And so that ended up being the conversation. And it's so freeing when you get to that point of you recognize. So I love that language, when you recognize you can genuinely care without carrying. And I think that's so beautiful. I think it's wonderful. I think this is a great,
you talk about expectations, misplaced expectations. Sherry would say, are your expectations in line with reality? Right?
Fuck you, Sherry.
All right.
Of course they are.
There are people that we will encounter in life and work that place unrealistic expectations on us, and I think it's in those types of settings where boundaries are so important, and setting the boundaries the easy part, keeping it's the more difficult part, but boundaries are important. But let's face it, most of the unrealistic expectations that we wrestle with are not coming from someone else. They're internal. They're self-generated. They're created. They're I saw myself reintegrating into work after a break, and I was struggling and finding it hard to reintegrate. And I realized, why am I finding it so hard? Oh, because I'm putting all this pressure on myself. No one else is putting this pressure on me. No one else is saying, hey, where is this and where is that? And how come you haven't done this yet? And have you done? And so I'm very present to the fact that I still do this. And I think when it comes to that type of thinking, or any thinking that we're trying to shift, the best analogy I read recently, and it was in Inner Excellence, he talks about an expert surfer, right? When they're out in the water, they don't just ride every wave.
Right.
They often will sit there for minutes at a time and long time because they're waiting for the right wave. And he says, that's your mind. You can't just ride every thought that enters your mind, because you'll drive yourself nuts. You have to choose what you put your attention on, choose what you choose to focus on. And that's where intentions can really be helpful, right? I'm going to care without carrying, and kind of bring yourself back.
And I think it was on Monday morning, we came back to the office, and you're right, we were in a team meeting, and one of the things that you did that I just absolutely loved is you just said, hey guys, I'll be honest, I just haven't put the thought into this right now. You didn't say that I should have, or any there was no shame. I haven't put the thought into this. So I really, and what that did, even for Steve and I on that call with you, we were all like, yeah, no, me too. Okay, good. And it was just so freeing a moment when we got permission to say, hey, this is where I'm at. So thank you, Kate. I think that's great. It's exactly what I'm looking for. And I think it'll help for some people who are drifting. Oh, maybe that's where it's landing. Eric, maybe I can shift it over to you. What's an intention, or what's a thought? What goes through your mind when you start to see your drift, this shows up, and you say, oh, I need to remind myself of this?
Well, I mean, as soon as you raised this topic as what we were going to be discussing on the show, my mind went to the season I went through last year, where I'd been overworking, overperforming, again, telling myself all these stories. We did accomplish great things in the business last year, and we saw tremendous growth, but it came at a personal cost that I'm just not really willing to pay that price anymore. But I was paying that cost and became aware of it, and made some changes, health-wise, made some massive changes, and got back to my morning routine, and got back to reflection and reading and meditating, all the stuff that keeps me on point. But it became very clear to me that this old pattern, this old script of I'm worthy because I perform, I'm worthy for what I do, and that people only keep me around because I'm useful, that although it didn't have the grip that it used to have, that given the right circumstances and me neglecting my own self-care, that somehow that's going to then people aren't going to keep me around in their lives, right? Because I'm no longer useful. So for me, the an intention I've really been leaning into, it isn't an intention, an anchor. I mean, they're kind of synonymous in some ways, but is that I'm worthy by nature, not by output. Right? That my worthiness, my value as a human being actually has nothing to do with what I do. I'm just worthy as I am, whether I do anything or not. Now, it's easy to say. Yes. Yeah. It's a hell of a lot harder to live, but I'm leaning into that. And that's the whole piece I've talked about on previous shows about useful Eric versus whole Eric, right? Useful Eric shows up I can tell you exactly how useful Eric shows up. He overperforms. He carries everything. He pushes himself too hard. I put expectations on myself and sometimes others that are not realistic or fair. I'm very self-critical. I'm not doing enough. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not enough. Right? Because it always moves from the things that I'm doing to then it becomes about my nature.
It becomes being. From doing to being.
I'm not working hard enough to I'm not enough. Right? That's kind of where it ends up, and so I drifted in my thinking there, right? And again, I'm just very grateful that the growth that I celebrated throughout that season was that I saw it, I recognized it. I didn't try to just hustle or muscle my way through it like I did in the past, only to find myself now more exhausted, more drained, more in trouble, and took real meaningful steps to shift it. And I mean, physically, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. I'm about to turn 55 and feel great, and feel strong. My rituals are on point, and none of that's perfect, but I've gotten back to what I know is really important. And useful Eric doesn't make time for himself because all that time needs to be for someone else. And if I'm not helping, if I'm not doing, if I'm not performing, then again, my value or my worth is impacted. Whole Eric recognizes the best thing that I can do for other people is take care of myself. It's that radical self-acceptance, which leads to radical self-care, which leads to radical self-actualization.
Right back to the foundation.
Right back to the foundations. And a matter of fact, talk about going back to the foundations. So as part of doing this work and getting back to myself, because I was drifting, not, to your point, not completely, but drifting enough where I'm going, this is not good. I don't like where this is going. And it part of that work was journaling one morning, these archetypes that had become very meaningful to me back in 2022 and my first awakening, which would lead to actually the birth of this podcast. Like those were all events that took place. The shaman, the seer, the Jedi, the warrior poet, the lover, those archetypes that really are, when I think of who I want to be, the kind of person that I want to be, and that's what I've been leaning into. So I think intentions can be everything from a mantra that helps to ground us and center us, refocus us on. It can be an archetype, right? It can be the example of somebody else's life or story that inspires. But what it is really, it's a reality check to say, where am I right now? Yeah. It's like when we don't have them, it's like we're flying without instruments.
Yes.
Right? We're flying a plane. No fucking clue where we're going. We're just going. Yeah. Right? And it's almost like any destination will do. Well, I'm like, no, there would have been a time where any destination will do. Useful Eric would have said, well, at least it's progress. Right? But now, fuck that. I'd rather travel 1 mile in the right direction than go 100 miles in a pointless direction. Like, I want my life to be on point. So I think that's where living intentionally, having those anchors, getting clear on who you are, what you stand for, and returning to that when you begin to drift. Like, this is why writing them down, knowing what they are, they become a GPS.
Yeah.
Any additional thought?
I was just going to say, what a great, or I guess a proud moment to be able to recognize where you are. And maybe for some of our listeners, when you get to that point where you can self-identify and be proud of yourself on, I recognize these signs and I recognize who I was, who I don't want to be anymore, and recognizing those signs before. I just find that very inspiring.
Well, I'll say that's whole Eric. He showed up later to be able to celebrate that. The first voice I heard was, "What the fuck took you so long? And what's wrong with you? And you know better. And who are you to tell this stuff to other people and try to counsel them about how to do this and look at your own life?" That was useful. Eric was the first one in line there. Yeah. So thankfully, that voice is becoming less and less, and I was able to tap into whole Eric and go, well, wait a second. In the past, I would have ended up in a much worse place before I even did anything.
But I think it's important that, and I love that you're sharing so openly, but I think to our listeners, it's so, like, we practice this and we practice living richly every single day, and it's still something you have to commit to. And the drift is real. And I think the fact that we're talking about it, it's not this magical space that we all live in and we're all like, hey, how are you? Okay. Like, we don't live like that.
We need to get a t-shirt. The drift is real.
Just that alone. But I think it's powerful that you're sharing, because I think it's important for everyone to know that, like, it's hard work sometimes. And some days you're really happy in the drift.
It's hard work, and it's something that, it's interesting when we have listeners that approach us on, episodes that we've done and they're listening to it. And I still hear comments sometimes around, wow, like, you guys just have it all figured out. And we're like, or like you speak like you just, not that
our producer tells us that all the time.
It's always it.
But I think it's like, we are just like broken, beautiful pieces of a puzzle, all still kind of working through life. And I think one reason why we love our podcast so much is because we do share these, open pieces of our life that we're still working on. And, it doesn't mean we have it all together. We're able to share our experiences, but I find that's very refreshing for our listeners to know that they can still be broken and beautiful as well, knowing that we're still
well said.
Yeah, it's not perfection, right? It's never about perfection. It's about progress in the right direction, right? And what's the saying? Practice makes. I think you helped us. But practice. Well, you said practice makes perfect. No, practice makes progress. Yeah. And so, in the living richly journey, or living your best life, however you want to call that, whatever you want to call that, it's putting in the reps. Yeah. And understanding there's going to be days the drift is real, and I didn't go to the gym, and I didn't eat right, and I didn't. No. Well, again, I'm not going to slash the other 3 tires because one is flat to borrow Wendy's line. Yeah. Right? It's like, okay, no, all right. So, and if a day became a week, became a month, whatever. Like, as soon as you have that recognition. Again, it's you have the ability. Each of us has the ability to reset. Yeah. You can reset in a moment. Yeah. You don't need New Year's Day. You don't need a magical holiday or moment, whatever. You just get to choose. I don't like where my life is heading right now. Yeah. I'm choosing to reset, and here's the intention I'm setting.
And I love. There was a recent webinar that we had, and you were talking on the webinar about a morning routine and
own your morning.
Own your morning. And somebody asked a question about what happens when if I've got meetings from other, and you talked about the 75%.
Oh, right? 75% rule. And if you can win 75% of your day, you've won the day. 75% of your week, you've won the week. 75% of the month, you've won. 75% of the year.
And I remember when I started journaling again, when I started this routine in my very first journal, my first whatever. What am I thinking? Entry. Thank you.
I got you.
He's new to this.
It's wonderment, but
it's wonderment.
Oh, they're called
full of wonderment.
When one of the first things I wrote is, well, I'm starting this today. I don't know if I'll do it tomorrow.
Love that.
Right? But that's okay. I'm doing it today, and my goal is 75%.
Love that.
Yeah. And that was how I set it up, so that it was my grace answer to shame.
Yeah.
That, oh, you're not going to keep it up again. And
Yeah.
I don't need to keep it up. I don't need to worry about all that. I'm just going to focus on this entry and to do this.
You're worthy by nature, not by output.
Exactly. Ooh, that's
It's been really inspiring watching you develop your morning routine, because it's something you've talked about for many years around not so much the comparison, but, you know, this person has a morning routine and these people are doing a morning routine, and I should have a morning routine, or I want to have a morning routine. I just don't know what it's going to look like. And then you just you've started one before and then it wasn't for you. And now you've started it again. And it's been inspiring watching you, over the last, not that I sit and watch you journal or anything.
That'd be weird. Yeah.
Sometimes she's just like,
she's on her third coffee, like reading every word.
What you doing? What you doing? What you writing? What does that mean?
yeah. Is that my name in there?
Are you sure wonderment's a word?
Right.
You made a spelling mistake.
You made a spelling mistake. That's
Wendy.
not grammatically correct.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
It's your turn.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
What's an intention? When you find yourself starting to drift, what is something that you pull back and grab hold of?
So I think mine is similar to, so this won't be super long because we've covered a lot of this, but choosing alignment over autopilot. I think that
That's huge.
anyone can be busy forever, but when I'm on autopilot, I'm productive, but I'm very disconnected and not aligned.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Don't apologize.
I'm trying really hard to pause and just be more aligned with, in tune with how I feel. And it kind of spills into what Kate said around not choosing to not carry anything or to not carry everything. But also really go back to asking myself, if when I am on autopilot, how does this fit with my core values? And does it fall into who I am? Because being busy doesn't always mean that I'm aligned.
Right.
So
Right.
that kind of spills into kind of multiple things that we've talked about today. But
But that's huge.
It's huge. And the busyness sometimes, that autopilot is, it's a bit of the distraction, right? Because it's like, I'm just going to stay busy over here.
Yes.
And then I'm just go. And then you don't have to think. And it's more that you don't have to feel. And that sometimes it can be that numbing.
It is that numbing, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where, like, to your point, Eric, everything just kind of spills into taking care of everything else and everyone else and losing yourself in the process. And then how do you kind of pull yourself back where your compass and your GPS is aligned to where you want to go and not necessarily where everybody else wants you to go or where you think you should go.
It's fascinating, and I really appreciate your vulnerability around sharing that. We talk about living fully in the moment, and what's interesting about when we go onto autopilot, we can be performing the very same actions and talking to the very same people, the very same context that normally makes us feel very alive. And we feel like we're watching a Netflix series.
Totally.
We are disconnected from it. We are disconnected from the conversations. We're disconnected from the activity.
Yeah.
It's like it's happening, and we know it's happening, and we know it's us doing it. But we're not present. We're not there. Our mind is either trapped in the past, which again, the brain science around that is pretty frightening.
Massive,
We have about 50, 60,000 thoughts a day. Over 80% of those are negative. Not about 85% are the same thoughts as yesterday. Right. And we're only choosing consciously 5% of the time. So put all that math together, and fucking drift is a thing. Autopilot's a thing. You could almost say autopilot on drift. That's the new T-shirt.
I liked the other T-shirt.
Drift is a thing. I think that's a good T-shirt. But it's. I think that's why mindfulness is so important.
Yes, I agree.
And mindfulness, it means like our minds are often full of just all the wrong things. We're either trapped in the past, or we're obsessing about a potential future thing that's never happened, and we're stressing about that, and we're missing out on life right in front of us. And so to be able to recognize that I may be appearing to do all the right things that I normally do, but I'm to be able to say, well, I don't get it. I don't get why. Oh, I'm on autopilot right now, and I'm not connecting to the moment. I know that's something I'm really working on because I'm the same. I can become like a fucking machine and run circles around people when it comes to performing. But my heart, in those moments, I feel like I have no soul.
Yeah, I find, well, obviously I'm going to lean into gratitude, but gratitude is a great practice for those where you can, I thought about when you were talking about the wonder and the awe of looking at the snow. That's very much a moment of gratitude where you pause and you just, even in those micro pauses and you pause for a moment, it brings you back to center, and just be grateful for the breath the air you're breathing, or for one small thing. And those pauses can add up, and they can just flip it, right? Yeah. They can flip you out of it pretty quickly.
Yeah. I also love you tied it to your values.
Yeah, huge.
You know, and we've said this many times on the show. Our values are the compass.
Yeah.
Right? They're not the destination.
Yeah.
They're not the map.
That's how we calibrate.
They are how we calibrate it. And so when we drift, one of the best things that we can do, one of the most important things we can do is pull out that compass of values and say, okay, how do my values help me realign here? How do my values help me show up here? I'm curious, and this is going to be just kind of just rapid fire just quickly here. And it is going to be into now the wonder, the wonderment. What's something that, and one of the things we did this time, and I love that we did this, and for viewers, you see we have iPads. We typically all have show notes in front of us. We didn't share any of our show notes, to be fair. we didn't share with each other what we were going to be saying or thinking, because we really wanted us to be reacting and responding in the moment. So what was something that you noticed as you listened to one another here today, and then I'll wrap up after that. But what was something that you saw or noticed as you listened to one another?
Raw humanity.
Yeah,
that's a good
raw, beautiful humanity.
It was.
Yeah, and then we're all on the path. We're all curious. We're all doing the work. Yeah. We're all wanting to continue to evolve and change and grow.
Yeah. And then I think for me, it's just, you can tell when you have the right circle of people in your life, right? When when you feel like you've got a circle of people who can be vulnerable and share. And be able to cheer you on and lift you up. Also kick your ass when you need it sometimes as well.
Or mock you for making up words that are actually words.
It makes me feel wonderfully wonderment.
Oh. Well, I was expecting the way you guys would answer that is how fucking brilliant I am for coming up with this topic. But
sure, that too.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you might be listening today, and maybe you're drifting. Maybe you're just feeling like you're just a little bit off course. I hope that what you heard today, as we shared very openly and vulnerably. Wow,
the words are hard today.
We're very open and shared from our hearts. There you go. That maybe it encouraged you. That maybe it's just maybe today, as you listen to this episode, you're saying, okay, it's time to pull out that compass of values. It's time to look at the intentions and maybe get refocused. Listen, we got a lot of resources at livingrichly.me. We want to encourage you to check that out. Also want to thank our sponsor, Rhapsody Strategies. And if you're a business owner listening and maybe you're like, my business is drifting, we can help you with that. And so just reach out, rhapsodystrategies.com. Share out this episode. Let someone else know that maybe you've had conversations and they're saying, I'm just feel off. Maybe this is a perfect episode that you can share with them. Like, subscribe, do all the things that you need to do. They help us and they help the algorithm, so I encourage you to do those. Until next time, get out there and live your best life.